This is One Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for March 28th. Tonight there's 9 games. I will go over the spreads and over-unders for each of them. For Denver at Charlotte, I'll be going with Denver minus 3.5. Charlotte played last night, and it was a somewhat close game, but as always, you have to expend energy in a back-to-back, and most teams do not fare well in a back-to-back, so hence why I have to go with Denver. And who on Charlotte is going to defend Jokic? I don't see much resistance to that, so Jokic should have a field day, and that should be enough for Denver to win the game, and should be able to cover 3.5 point spread. As I do expect Charlotte to struggle in a back-to-back. I will be leaning towards over 232, as Charlotte's defense will be giving up points against Denver. I think if the role players for Denver can just make some threes, they'll for sure bring this over, and I think Charlotte will be able to score enough points. I think more in like the 110 to 115 range, but it's like they probably will not be cracking 120. But I think Denver, it's reasonable to bet that they'd get over like 120, 125, like somewhere in that range. So hence why I'm leaning towards over 232. For the Hawks at the Pacers, I'll be with Atlanta minus 7.5, as they are a better team than the Pacers. They are fighting for a playoff spot, so each one of these games should be a must-win for Atlanta, even though this is technically like playoffs for like the bottom tier teams, as it's the last few games of the year. And on a good note, I think Atlanta has more of an incentive to win games, as like they are fighting for positioning in the playoffs. So Atlanta should win. They should be able to cover a 7.5 point spread. We lean towards under 235, as I think Atlanta's defense should be focused. They should be getting set up for the playoffs, so they should be able to handle an Indiana Pacers offense, hold them down, at least keep them down below like 110. And then Atlanta, their offense, I mean, it's basically just how well like Trae Young plays, and if he can get his other players involved. But they'll probably be in that like 120 range, plus or minus 5 points. But I think it will go under. It's going to be, I feel it's going to be like within 5 points of 235, like either or, but I would have to lean towards an under for this game. For the Magic at the Cavaliers, going with Orlando plus 9.5. So Cleveland has been kind of struggling. I don't feel as confident betting in them right now. And then Orlando, I think they've been playing well enough to stay within 9.5 points. I think Cleveland, like, they're going to need to start winning some games, or otherwise they're going to be in the play-ins. Or I believe currently they are the 7th seed, if I'm not mistaken. So they are in the play-ins. I'm sure they want to stay out of it. Like, honestly wouldn't be surprised if Orlando wins this, but Cleveland should win this. But I think it's going to be a closer game than expected. Then also if I think if Cleveland does win, it's going to be on their defense. So that means I'm going to expect them to hold Orlando to a lower amount, and I don't expect the Cavaliers to score a lot. And then the Magic, they're kind of not super reliable on offense. Like, they should not be scoring like 120 on the Cavaliers. They shouldn't be scoring 110. Like, I feel like they'll be in like the low 100s or the 90s. So hence why I'm really leaning towards an under for this game. For the Bulls at the Knicks, be leaning towards the Bulls minus 5. I think DeRozan, Levine are like those types of players that like to show up at Madison Square Garden, and especially fighting for a playoff spot. I expect them to both show up for this game. And the Knicks, since they're pretty much out of the playoffs, they don't have too much of a reason to be playing for. So I really expect Chicago to win this, as it should be like a playoff type for game for them. They should be really focusing on trying to win every game that they have remaining, so they have a nice playoff position, not in the play-ins. So hence why I'm leaning towards Chicago minus 5. We lean towards under 223, as I think the Bulls will figure some things out on defense. Like, their defense isn't great. New York's offense isn't the greatest either, and I think they play a little slower. I think Bulls have been playing a little slower too, so hence why I'm leaning towards an under for this game. But I feel like the total amount of the score, will be like really close to 223. It's like probably gonna be those ones where it's gonna be either or. It's gonna be like plus or minus 5 points, which is really just a coin flip, I feel like. For Boston at Toronto, go with Toronto minus 3. So Boston played last night. and they have Jason Tatum as not probable for this game. He's kind of day-to-day, so if Tatum is out, which I think he will be, he'll be going with Toronto -3. But if he is playing, then obviously take Boston +3. But I think with Toronto, like, they're in the play-in position. I'm sure they want to sneak out of there. Boston just took the #1 seed. Then also they're playing back-to-back. They are 1-2 in back-to-back since the start of this year, 2022. So I would not be surprised if they go 1-3. So that's why I'm taking Toronto -3. We lean towards under 218 because if Tatum is out, who's going to be scoring for Boston? We're going to have to rely a lot on Jaylen Brown. And then Toronto's kind of random with their points, but they're consistently all usually around like between 110 and 120. And then Boston's defense, like even without Tatum, I think Boston's defense should be able to slow down the Raptors even on the back-to-back. So that 110 to 120 range for the Raptors, probably just -10 from that. So 100 to 110 is where they probably will end up. So that's why I'm leaning towards an under 218. For the Kings at the Heat, we lean towards Sacramento +13. So with all the hoopla happening in Miami, they're possibly just throwing games. They're on a bit of a losing streak. So, and they have them as a 13-point favorite. I think that's a pretty big stretch if you ask me. So that's why I'm taking Sacramento +13. And I would almost want to take Sacramento winning this game. Like the odds are pretty good. It's like +640 for +13. Wouldn't mind throwing like $2 at that, $3, but I think Sacramento should stay within 13 points. That seems reasonable against a struggling Heat team. And if Sacramento does stay within 13 or win, that means this game will probably go over. I believe when I checked, there's no over-under for this game, so this is just what I would personally put would be over 216.5, as most Miami games as of late, like the over-under has been around like 216. It has not been very high scoring. But Sacramento, if they stay within 13 points, that means they're going to have to score the ball. So wouldn't be surprised if I see like 115 from them, like 110, 115. So hence why I'd be leaning towards an over 216.5. For Golden State at Memphis, so with Golden State playing last night and the way Memphis has been playing, I think 10.5 spread is reasonable for Memphis to cover, as Memphis has been playing harder, and especially against the Warriors. And especially like this is like kind of will determine the 2 seed, as if Memphis wins this, that'll kind of confirm them in the 2 seed, have better position in the playoffs, and then Warriors will be hanging around that 3-4 seed. But Memphis should be able to cover 10.5 point spread, as they've been playing fantastic without Ja. And then we lean towards over 223, as Warriors offense, I think Warriors offense will struggle, but I think Memphis's offense will be able to score a lot. And then I think Golden State, there's still some pride, so they're going to like probably keep it close in the first half, but I think Memphis will pull away with this. For the Spurs at Houston, we lean towards the Spurs -6.5. The Spurs do have a great reason to be playing right now, as they're just outside the play-ins. And with the Lakers losing last night, and I believe if the Spurs win, I believe that will tie them, but at least bring them like one step closer to being in the play-ins and knocking the Lakers out. So that's why I'm really leaning towards San Antonio -6.5, as the Spurs have they have like a reason to be playing. So if they lose this, that's not good on them. Like, I'd be a little shocked by that, to say the least. But I will be leaning towards under 237.5, as these are 2 high-scoring teams. But I think Spurs are going to be in playoff mode, so that means their defense will be a little more alert. And then Houston, haven't been seeing them scoring like that 130 range. Even the Spurs haven't been that 130 range. So total of this game will probably end up being like 232 if I were to guess. Like both teams in that like 100 to 120. It's kind of a big spread, but it's like the winner will probably be in that 110 to 120 range, while the loser will be in that like 105 to 112 range. But I think the Spurs will win. It'll be somewhat close, but I think Spurs should win. Have like a little bit of lead, so we're not sweating at the end, but 6.5 points seems reasonable. For the Thunder at Portland, I'll be going with the Thunder -2.5, as I really don't have faith in Portland, but I always have faith in the Thunder to play hard. So that's what I'm going with OKC -2.5. This is probably going to be the only matchup where the Thunder are favored. So if I see that, I might as well take it. I always have a little faith in the Thunder, but I will be leaning towards an over 217.5. But honestly, if you just see Portland just being absolutely bone, like no shots, like chilled, no scoring whatsoever, like take the under. But I think since the end of the season, you might be a little more relaxed as both these teams don't have anything to play for. Just kind of like, these are almost kind of like for fun games, like just to prove your worth. But so that's why I think like defense might be a little bit more relaxed in this game, and why I'd be taking an over for this game of 217.5. But if you think that play with some intensity, have some defense, and Portland's just gonna be bad on offense, take the under. Thank you for watching. As always, bet responsibly, have fun watching sports, and good luck on your bets. Also in the description, I have started a Twitter and an Instagram if you want to follow that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with them yet, but they're just there. I don't know but once again, thanks for watching.